intermittent fasting workshop. I'm really excited to share this information with you and to share a couple of testimonies, not only my own, but of some friends that I've helped along the way. And it's interesting how the Lord will use something that you go through, some sort of pain or trouble or sickness. He'll use it always to give him glory, but also to help other people. So sometimes it says in 2 Corinthians 3:1 that he is the Father of our comfort. And sometimes that comfort is just, encouragement for you to kind of just push through it because you're going to be used to help somebody else who may be going through that same thing. So just to kind of share how I got here to even talking about intermittent fasting is my background is in fitness and nutrition, and I competed in fitness for about 5 years. I would do 2 shows a year, and that involved some extreme dieting and exercising. And the way they do it is completely is destroying people's bodies, their metabolisms, causing all kinds of digestive orders. And you are putting your life into somebody's hands. And a lot of times, I'm guilty of this. You are just trusting them and what they're telling you. And yes, let me tell you that you will get lean. You will get a really low body fat percentage. But one, you are destroying your immune system along the way. It's just very up. You're like this. So you are up and down. And so usually after a show, I would gain 10 pounds the next day because when that lifestyle is not maintainable, there's very few people that can maintain it. But, this is kind of what we're going to be talking about in this training. So my story is I came down with ulcerative colitis this time last year. It started in October. I just kind of played it off to irritable bowel, stress related, just kind of played it off. I'm not one who runs to the doctor. I don't really believe in the Western medicine. I believe there's a place for physicians in diagnosing. But the ones that, a lot of them, they just want to give you a pill to kind of mask the symptoms. So I don't even take Tylenol most of the time. One, because I rarely get a headache. But anyways, I was pretty ill and I didn't even realize what was happening. But long story short, 4 months into my illness, I finally decided to go see a doctor and get a colonoscopy. I'd lost 15 pounds. I was anemic. They were trying to get me to do blood transfusions. I was refusing because I just thought it was weird, to get someone's blood put in my body. I just believe in the healing of our bodies. Well, I'd gone to church on a Sunday, and they had a healing service. So I got prayed over, anointed with oil, healed. I received my healing there. But here's the deal is yes, the cross was all about health and healing to our bodies, and we're the hands and feet. So I could actually have healed myself, since I also have the power that raised the dead, the Holy Spirit. But it's really kind of an ignorance one and a tolerance too. But I received my healing that night. But the Lord puts things in our path to help us in that healing. Now, I believe, this is my belief, that Jesus was able to heal people instantly because he was sinless. He was the Lamb. He didn't have any sin. Where us, we any kind of bondage that we have, or unforgiveness or bitterness, it holds us back. It holds our healing back, or it makes it take longer. So for me, that first night, I slept all night long, in which I hadn't done in months because I was up all night in the bathroom. The blood went away. A couple days later, I went and got the colonoscopy, and I just remember laying in bed, in that hospital bed. My husband took a picture of me. I looked so sick. And I'm like, how did I get here? I'm like one of the healthiest people I know. And it was because of all the yo-yo dieting and, thinking that breakfast is the best, the first meal of the day is the most important meal of the day. The cereal companies are the ones that coined that phrase, that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, when really it's not. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. So they looked at me, and I remember God speaking to me and saying, okay, Rachel, you're either going to really play out what you believe and in the faith that you have, that you believe that you're healing, and say no to those drugs that are going to keep you sick, that are just going to mask the symptoms, steroids that are going to reduce inflammation. Give me a break. I can do that with food, right? So I just remembered saying, yes, Lord, and looking at my husband, and my husband said, don't take the medicine, Rachel. Just trust me. And we started on this fasting journey. I started on a 3-day no food fast where I just did some whey water just to get the inflammation out of my body. And I'm healed today. So that was the beginning of February, and I'm completely healed. I mean, I'm healed to the fact where before and all that, I couldn't even eat certain foods that would just cause like digestion or hurt my belly or whatever. And that doesn't even happen anymore. I don't crave a lot of that stuff, but it's kind of cool when you have this kind of lifestyle that you can have balance in your life. So I went on the cruise. I ate pizza and ice cream a lot. This past weekend, I didn't stick to my intermittent fasting schedule because I do it every day. I do the lean gains method, which we're going to talk about. And I didn't do that. I had ice cream. I had Mexican. I even had a beer, and it was great. I digested it fine. It's because I'm healed. And so I want to help you be healed. I have a girl that's going to share her testimony. I have other testimonies I want to share. They weren't able to get on for whatever reason, schedule conflicts. And I kind of am a last minute person. I commit and figure things out later. And sometimes it doesn't work out for everybody. But first of all, fasting at a glance, it has a number of health benefits. Okay. And that's including cardiovascular health. That's including reduced cancer risk, gene repair, increase longevity. One of the things that I'm loving the most about it is, I get up at 5 a.m. and I work out at 9:30. And really fasting starts about 12 hours after your last meal. And so usually my last meal is usually around 6. It's just because of my schedule. So the biggest point I want to get across to, it's not necessarily, it's really all about what time you wake up and waiting 5 to 6 hours before your first meal. So I wake up at 5, I work out at 9:30 to 10:30. And by the time I get back home, it's 11. So it's 6 hours. And so around 11, 11:30, 12, it just depends, sometimes it's 12, 1 o'clock, just because I get caught up in other things, that I'm eating my first meal. And so here is what I'm experiencing now that I've went back to weight training. I took a year off of weights, and just did yoga for a year, but my body craves red meat and weights because I'm type O blood type. I mean, it's the lectins and stuff that are attached to my blood that help me. I benefit most from that type of diet. So I am back to eating red meat. My body actually thrives off that, and lifting weights. But I'm experiencing bigger gains and much more recovery, where before I would work out 6 days a week. Now I'm training 3 days a week and experiencing some increased major strength gains, major muscle gains. I feel amazing. And here's the reason why. Some of the benefits of the intermittent fasting is because of the hormones that are releasing in your body, okay? And so I'm just reading off my notes here that I took just to kind of keep me on track because I don't want to forget anything. But first of all, intermittent fasting helps reset your body to burn fat for fuel. And this is why you want to work out in that window that you're fasting. So by the time I'm working out, I'm already 15 hours, 16 hours into my fasting window. So I am burning my fat for fuel and I feel amazing. And before, I used to the story I would tell myself is I can't work out on an empty stomach. I just can't do it. Those were all lies. And here's the reason why. Is that mounting evidence shows that when your body becomes adapted to burning fat instead of sugar as your primary fuel, your gains are going to be increased dramatically. And a lot of that has to do with the hormones that your body is now releasing. It's a lot about the insulin in your body, right? So it's when you're in those periods of feast and famine, but if you're constantly in that feast mode, your body actually it can't do the natural repair and rejuvenation because of the insulin. You're constantly, producing this. So that's one reason, okay, it's insulin resistance. 2, it's the normalizing your insulin sensitivity and boosting the mitochondrial energy efficiency. It's one of the primary mechanisms that makes intermittent fasting so beneficial for health, as it's related to the impact of your insulin sensitivity. And so while sugar is a source of energy for your body, It also promotes insulin resistance when consumed in the amounts found in the modern processed junk food diet. In turn, it's a primary driver of chronic disease, from heart disease to cancer, of course, diabetes. It's promoting human growth, HGH, so human growth hormone. And so tons and tons of research has been done. And I'm not talking Google research. I'm talking from like people like Dr. Mercola, Dr. Axe, these people that are real more naturalist doctors and more naturalist chiropractors that understand the body and these processes that are happening, while some will say that digestive leukocytosis isn't a real thing. I'm here to tell you that it is, because I experienced it. And that's the thing, is these stories, I'm going to debunk that and let you know that it is true. And I'm going to talk about that a little later on. Actually, I talk about that later on in this training. But when you are doing fasting, okay, so research has shown that it can raise the HGH levels by 1,300% in women and 2,000% in men. So let's talk about what HGH does. So basically, human growth hormone does the opposite of what like cortisol does. So sometimes, cortisol is a natural thing that's released, but if you're in a constant state of stress, you work out a lot, your body's going to release this. It causes acid in your body. It causes you to hold on to fat, where HGH will put your body into recovery. Okay. It helps reduce the inflammation in your body. It's so amazing. And it plays an important role in your health and fitness and slowing the aging process. That is why I feel so good now. It's just a difference, in my workouts and in my gains and in my recovery. I mean, the recovery is just so awesome. It helps by lowering your triglycerides, improving the biomarkers of disease, and it reduces oxidative stress. So, gosh, it's just so, it's so many benefits, but it's by far the most effective way to shed unwanted fat, okay, without eating your muscle. A lot of people are afraid, it's going to go after my muscle. And these are all myths, okay, okay, that's all myths. Like, that's why it's not necessary to eat right after you work out. It's just not necessary. Okay. Some other benefits is just the cleansing or detoxification of our body happens automatic and going. Okay. But it can be hindered by a poor diet, but it also could be slowed by a healthy diet, simply because our body's constantly digesting incoming food, and it decreases the cellular custodial duties of the body. And so when you intermittent fast, your body's cleansing daily. You will notice, like, I know that it's the same time every morning, and I'm cleansing every single morning. It's right around 6:30, 6 a.m. usually. I'm up at 5. I don't start my day with caffeine. I start my day with a great big glass. It's probably about this big. It's room temperature water, has a fresh lemon in there, because cold water kind of shocks your body. So I'm drinking room temperature water with a lemon, which also helps with the process. And then that is starting the cleansing process. So that's a great, big, huge thing right there. It's just the daily cleansing your body goes through. And then, of course, hormone regulation. We talked about HGH. We talked about faster muscle repair and growth, as well as slowing the aging process. I'm all about that. We're all in search of the fountain of youth. Well, here it is, folks. This is it right here. And then leptin, right? So leptin is the hormone that regulates fat storage, as well as hunger signals. And so it tells your brain that the body's hungry. And so that is normalized by the intermittent fasting process. So forget about everything you've learned from Google or a trainer that's not been, that doesn't really know how the body works. They're just going off of what somebody else taught them or what somebody else taught them down the road. But it's causing all kinds of sickness. There's an epidemic now with these digestive disorders, with thyroid disorders, and it's all because you have the wrong view of how you're supposed to eat. We are going to now talk to our friend Rachel. Rachel is somebody who I met through our business, and she reached out to me about intermittent fasting. and she's going to tell her story. There are a few other people, like Johnny Canoza has already shared her story on another training about how intermittent fasting has changed her life spiritually, but also physically. Nicole Also Brooks suffered with ulcerative colitis. She has adapted a intermittent fasting lifestyle, and she does the 3-day fast once a month also, as does Johnny. Robin Housley is somebody else. My life group that I do a Bible study in my home, all of us do intermittent fasting and all experiencing that. And for us, it was first, mine was a must because of my physical, but now it's like it's a spiritual thing. It's awesome. So let's go and cut over to Rachel.
I have 3 boys who take a lot of my attention, and so I was really putting my needs on the back burner, and it was starting to build up. I was having real achy skin. I felt bloated all the time. I was tired. By 7:30 of the night, I was worn out and just done for the day. And so just all that kind of was building up, and I had a lot of digestive issues. It wouldn't be uncommon for me 3-4 days of the month just to be in the bathroom from like midnight to 3 in the morning, just with horrible stomach cramping, diarrhea, and so just it was miserable. So this whole year it's been a journey, and but I was still feeling like the inflammation, I call it my puffiness. And so I saw a link that you had posted, and it said lose weight, improve health, and simplify their healthy lifestyle. And that's what I needed. I was looking for anything to help me simplify a healthy lifestyle. I had been reading this book, Present Over Perfect, and in her title it says leaving behind frantic for a simpler, more soulful way of living. And it hit me that I wasn't living simply. I wasn't, treating my body properly, even though I was trying to, put supplements in it and exercise here or there. I still wasn't doing what was right for my body. I was trying to eat at when I woke up at 7 in the morning, and it just felt like I was forcing myself. And I'd tell my husband, I don't feel like I need to eat right now. I don't feel like my body is saying, feed me. I don't get hungry until about 10:30 in the morning. And, but we'd learn, eat your small meals and eat all day long, keep that metabolism going. And when I saw that it had like the 18-8 or 16-8 system, and Rachel mentioned that she wasn't eating, and her first meal was like 11:30 in the morning. I was like, I could do that. And so I read the article that she posted, and I started following that. And so for about 3 weeks now, I've been doing it, and just feel so much better. So I started on a Monday. By that Thursday, I could just tell through my shoulders and through my collarbone, just the inflammation was going down around my calves. And then within the next week, I could tell within my stomach. I always dealt with a lot of, bloating and just not being able to suck in, unless it's first thing in the morning. But it's something I noticed as I continued on it, that I started having more of a waist. I started losing that belly fat. I had twins. And one of those things, I'm like, is my stomach just always going to be like this? Is it always just going to be, misproportioned to everything else? And so doing this fasting has helped me lose inches around my waist, and has helped me just feel better, more energy, more, I don't know, just overall, just feeling better. And same with you. I don't feel like I need an energy drink. I don't need anything to kind of keep my energy up. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning ready to go. And so it's just overall, it's been really good for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel, for sharing that. And I'm so happy for you. I get a sneaky feeling that you're dealing with the same thing that I was dealing with. And I can just tell you that I remember I went to the church and I got healed. And then a few days later, I had my colonoscopy. And I can remember laying, and it was the most pitiful sight. Like Kurt took a picture of me. Here's this healthy woman laying in this hospital bed with these IVs pulling out of me. And we are just like, what in the world is going on? And the doctor coming to me and telling me that I have this horrible autoimmune disease, that if I don't take this medicine, that eventually that I'm going to have half of my colon removed, and, you know, all these different things. And I remember the Lord saying to me in that moment, okay, Rachel, you can either conform to what the world wants you to do and take that medicine and just mask it and manage your symptoms, or you could do what you tell everybody about. You can do what you say. You can be that faith person and walk in faith that, you know, health and healing, that's what the cross was all about. It was about health and healing to your bodies, and that you believe that you got healed a few days ago. And I remember looking at my husband, and my husband said to me, don't take it, Rachel. He goes, just trust me. And I know that the Lord was talking through him in that time. And I said, okay, I'm not going to take it. And that's when I did a 3-day fast where I didn't do any food for 3 days. I just did a whey water thing. And I remember that night going home, just the night after I was prayed over. So Sunday night after I was prayed over, I remember I slept all night that night, because I usually was up 2-3 times. And you can relate to that, Rachel. I mean, I was just up all night in the bathroom, and I slept all night. And then the next night, the blood stopped. I mean, because I was bleeding. They wanted to give me blood transfusions. They were calling me, and they were like, you got to come in and get blood. And I'm like, I am not putting somebody else's blood in my body. And I just was like, praise the Lord, you know, or praise hallelujah. That's my new saying. Praise hallelujah. So I just remember just understanding that, man, we are the hands and feet of Jesus. We can be healed, but he gives us tools, right? And so this is one of the tools. And so if you think about Bible times and how long these people lived, you know, Moses lived like 900 and some years, right? Like he fasted and prayed a lot. Daniel fasted and prayed a lot. You know, David fasted and prayed a lot. These people did this. That was their lifestyle. One, because food wasn't just readily available, right? These were healthy people. You think about the cavemen, they were lean and mean and strong, but they intermittent fasted only because they had to go and find their food first, right? And so it's how the world, and it says, do not conform to the patterns of the world. And that's what we've done. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You know, that's what the cereal company said. But let me kind of share with you why our bodies break down, why we get thyroid problems, why our thyroid quits working, why we get autoimmune diseases, because this is what happens. And a lot of people say, oh, it's not been proven that's a real phenomenon, but I'm here to tell you that it is, because of what I've gone through, and because what Rachel's gone through, and what some other people have gone through. And basically, so let's talk about it this way. So leukocytes, okay? Leukocytes are known as our knights in shining armor. They're the protectors of our body. So 1 hour after a meal, these defenders go after the things you ate as if they are defenders or invaders, right? So they go and defend these invaders. So even if you consumed a meal containing healthy organic foods, these white cells are compelled to go and check things out. And that's all for the good. But this process leaves your body vulnerable to attack elsewhere from germs and toxins. And I believe a lot of it has to do with the attacks on your thyroid and the attacks on your, on your autoimmune system. Like, so inflammation, like I know some people who have fibromyalgia or those types of inflammation, those are autoimmunes, lupus, those are all autoimmunes. It's because, I believe it's because of we've conformed to the worldly ways of how we're eating, plus all the junk they put in our food nowadays too. But when our white blood cells can't keep up, a number of health issues arise. And so imagine that you're eating the minute you get up. You probably eat late before you go to bed. You're eating 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day. You're just constantly eating. Your body's constantly in a fed state. So this is how all these health issues arise. But when you follow a regimen of daily cleansing, you give your body more time to deal with the toxins that are lurking in the body instead of having to answer a 3-alarm call in the digestive tract every time something comes down the hatch. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? Like now when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so true. Like you don't have to be a rocket scientist to be like, yes, that's exactly what happens. And so now your body knows how to take care of itself. It's simply, all you got to do is remove the interference. And its job is made easier by daily cleansing and proactively shortening the amount of time from your first meal of the day to your last meal. Okay. And that's why I think that the cleansing is just important, the daily cleansing, plus maybe, once a month, and you don't have to do this, but I do this. Johnny Canoza does this. Nicole Alsobrooks does this. People who I've shared this with, we take 3 days a month and we just do this whey water stuff, and we don't eat food, and we feel great. It's just good to give your body a break and just get on the schedule. And I'll share more about that. Like I can put up a calendar of kind of what that looks like for you. But what I want to just kind of end with is more what I experienced. And I knew that, the Lord, he will birth something out of every pain. Okay. So when he takes us through a storm or through a pain or what I went through in that disease process that I was in, he wanted me to go through that because the glory is on the other side of that pain. And here's what he wanted me to do, because my friend Nettie has been telling me about this fasting thing for years. And the story I was always telling myself is, there's no way that I can not eat when I get up. I have to go work out, and, I have to recover and all those things. And I just wasn't willing to listen. But when he put it in a must situation and I did it, it changed my world. Like the food of this world isn't even desirable to me right now because my soul is so full from me doing my Father's business, and so now it's like he's propelled me into building this ministry now. And so fasting is a part of my life because now I'm interceding for people in prayer. And fasting is the best way to do that because there's nothing, interfering with that. There's just, you're hungering for him and not things of the world, which is food. And it takes a lot of trust in that. But I'm going to tell you that if you just try it, but some people like, yeah, I tried it a couple of days. Like, well, that's not really trying it, or I tried it a week. That's not really trying it. And I believe a lot of it has to do with the food you're eating. And so, but, those who have to lose weight, you're drastically cutting your calories because, well, gosh, if you're skipping breakfast, and the bulk of your calories is usually in your first meal. It is for me anyways, because it's usually a post-workout meal. And I believe it is for you, Rachel, right? You're kind of eating after your workout too. That's kind of how it's planned for you. Yeah. So it's really made all the difference in the world with this. So, for me, like I said, I no longer hunger for that breakfast in the morning. I feel my best, to be honest with you, and you can share if this is the way it was with you too, Rachel. And Robin Housley has said this. Johnny Canoza has said this. We feel so much better when we haven't eaten. Like, it's crazy. I know it sounds so crazy.
I'm just not bogged down.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of it has to do because our body is burning we're fat. We're burning off our fat, and we have to trust it. And then plus the HGH, that's the hormone production, just everything that happens in your body when you are fasting. So I am going to probably write another blog about this. This is going to be recorded. I need to re-record the beginning part because I forgot to hit record. I'm all messed up because my camera isn't working. But these things happen as enemy wants anything more for me to help more people live longer lives so that you can go about your Father's business for you. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot them to me via Facebook message. If you're not a part of our ministry fan page, it's Women at the Well Ministries. Please connect with us there and just kind of stay in touch with what you're doing. You know, we are so excited about 2017 and where we're going. And, you know, we are looking for people to partner with us with your gifts, you know, with your financial gifts, with your prayers, most definitely. But just get connected with us on the Women at the Well page, especially for that retreat that's coming up at the end of January. That's going to be really, really awesome. But